This month on our show, Barb's going to talk about beyond the comfort zone. Barb, it's great to see you. How are you keeping?
I'm good, Dave. How are you?
Very good. Thank you. Thank you for asking.
Good.
This month's article, you really dive into your sister's cancer and that cause and effect that caused you to, continue your education on the body's health and how you can help people and keep that going. And you bring up it's an anniversary of 10 years. That's hard. I mean, I can't even imagine. Your sister was only 43, I think I read. Oh my goodness.
That's right.
So she's kind of that legacy inspiration, isn't she?
She really is. I mean, I'd already been in the natural health field for 2 decades prior to that. Done a lot of courses and things like that. But it was a promise I made to her, is that I would formalize my education even more. And it's as with losing a loved one, it takes a while before you sort of start to come out on the other side a little bit. And, but I did go back to school and fulfill that, because it just became so much more apparent how much more I needed to know, how much more we need to be looking out for one another and understanding what our symptomology might mean and the importance of paying attention to that. So that was the pretense for this particular article is, everybody has a comfort zone, right? And we can be having symptoms. You can walk into, any drugstore, any big box store, and you can find a million different things to help suppress those symptoms. But in doing so, what are you masking? And, to just make yourself temporarily comfortable, that's an important indicator of something. If those symptoms keep coming back, then that's when we need to start to advocate for ourselves. And I think that is so important that people understand where that balance is, when those pushing points really start to be things that we need to stand up for ourselves.
I think people too, that when you mention comfort zone, I always go to routine. People crave routine. And if you can do something consistently, then you feel like you're on the right track. So if you get a little ill, you're like, okay, what can I take to balance this? Or because we just don't want our routine messed up, right? So you can become very ill sticking to your routine. And I think I always felt that that's kind of one of the indicators too, is like, if you can't get out of your routine a little bit to take care of your health, then you're in deep trouble eventually down the road. People, I think too, this is kind of another question with this. It's we were talking about routine, but sometimes people just don't have the energy to get healthy. I know this sounds weird because it becomes sort of that mental, physical part again that we talk about so much, but they just, like, I've seen it, and they're just like, they're so drawn out. They don't have the physical strength to really will themselves to try and get healthy again. Yeah. And I guess that's where you come into play a lot too, because you can start correcting the diet, the outlook, right? All those things.
Yeah. We definitely can look at baby steps.
Right.
People, they're standing, if your health is here at the top of the mountain and you're down here at the bottom. And if you look at that whole mountain and you say, I have to get to the top of that today. Well,
it ain't gonna happen.
I mean, it's not going to happen. There are a million different things that can go wrong, but it can just seem too much to even begin. That you're down here at the bottom, you feel safe, that's your comfort zone. Even though you feel like crap, at least it's a safe place for you where you understand all the variables. So what I try to do in my practice is to give people 1, 2, or 3 steps that they need. And it may be as simple as you need to drink more water.
Yeah.
You need to change your sleep routine. But it's helping people every step of that way and understanding where those changes are going to be the most helpful. One thing is sometimes people have low blood pressure and they're completely avoiding salt in their diet. And so you go through all of this information with them. You go through, their symptomology, and you realize that intra and extracellular exchange can't take place because they don't have the minerals, or aren't using a good healthy salt in their diet along with their water. So they've diluted their electrolytes, and so sometimes it's very simple to bring that balance back, and sometimes it's super complex. And a lot of times I refer people on to somebody because my scope of practice doesn't involve being able to requisition different tests and different blood work. So, if somebody gets a hold of me and they have a series of symptoms, I'm upfront with them. I don't want them spending money paying me for something I can't help them further with. So it's knowing when to refer those people and knowing when, they need to be guided to that next step for their health. And, it's just having those steps, having those little things that can become an accomplishment for them, that they feel like, hey, I've got that. And then a few weeks later, it's like, okay, let's add this in. You don't need, it's still one step at a time to get up that mountain. Nobody does it in one leap.
For sure. My next question revolves around aging, because you hear a lot of folks say, oh, I'm just getting old. Evaluating your own energy, you're not going to be at 60, be able to do what you did at 20, 25. But it's understanding that method of accomplishment within a day. So by that, I mean, you're taking your vitamins, you're doing as many things as you can, correct. But you have to admit to the fact that sometimes you're just going to get tired and that body's requesting rest over everything else.
There is definitely,
I think that's probably part of one of my scenarios where I have trouble with, is saying, oh, wait, yeah, I'm this age now. I probably should, it's, you feel kind of like, well, I should have this energy, but you have to understand that I think the rest to action ratio changes as you age, and you need to adapt with that.
There definitely is an adjustment. You definitely also have people who in their entire life have not felt healthy, or have not known what it's like to feel healthy. So when you look at that person, they actually might start to feel better over 60 than they did at 20, if we can get enough things going right in their life. But it's a matter of working smarter and oftentimes conserving energy. The aging process doesn't mean that we're necessarily deteriorating. We just need to start to do things differently.
Right.
And a lot of people don't necessarily understand about the importance of their macronutrient ratio and the importance of extra protein in their diet. So it's getting a lot of different check balances all coordinated to support that, so that it can be a very, very healthy process. Because honestly, your life can just get better and better, because if you're retired, then suddenly you have different time on your hands. But so many seniors say, like, I've never been so busy in my life, and that's a good thing. But oftentimes you may have time to tap into that creative part of yourself that you didn't have time for before, or really embrace those hobbies and things like that you didn't have before. So there are a lot of really, really good things that can come out of it. And I don't like people to embrace that just because they're getting older that they have to accept a certain level of deterioration. So lots of different things that can be implemented to help us as we age. I mean, I'm getting there too. So
I agree with you. I don't think it's deterioration. I think it's reconfiguration.
Yeah.
Because I think you're looking at what you need to do to maximize that potential for that day or for that week or whatever. And you start to sort of get analytical to the point where you're like, okay, this is probably not the right thing to eat for dinner today,
Yeah.
right? Because I want to do this tomorrow. So I think your awareness goes up, heightens as you age. Last question. People, when you're in your field, now when you're talking your sister's legacy and all this, it must be hard because if someone comes in with a negative attitude towards their own body already, and we see that with a lot of folks. It's like, oh, look at me, I'm way overweight, I'm this, I'm that. But that to me seems like one of the critical components that you got to turn around. Like, I know that's not what you do, but instilling that confidence to be able to say, no, I think you can do this. Like, you've got an opportunity here. And again, the word opportunity comes to mind because I think people need to think of it that way.
Yeah. Yeah. And anybody that, does reach out, that I make sure that they understand how powerful that is. Just that they've taken that step. Even if they don't make it to the office for an appointment, I still make sure that we have that connection and give them some information that can help them move forward for when they're ready. Okay, because you have to be ready here as well as ready to, clean out your pantry or clean out your fridge or go out and get to the grocery store and bring the things in that actually sustain your body as healthy fuel. So there are so many different parts of that process, but making change is, if that mindset's not there to do it, if there is that defeatist attitude, then we look at why the person feels that way. Do they not have the support at home? Are they on their own? Did they just not have the knowledge? So that's my responsibility, is to help them discover why they're feeling that way, what has caused them to have that sort of defeated attitude in the first place, and then work from there. And that's all part of their baby steps. Is maybe they need a few self affirmations. Maybe they need, to understand exactly what that, we need to understand what our goal is. There has to be something that's propelling us forward that we want for ourselves. And so that is a lot of what I do, is help them find their why and help them slowly and steadily be successful in getting out of that comfort zone and adopting and adapting to those new behaviors, because it is about the lifestyle. It's not just about having the best supplement. It's not just about having the best food, but it's holistically making sure that everything comes together and that it's manageable for the person, and them understanding that I'm in their corner for whatever they need.
Wow. Powerful stuff today. Beyond the Comfort Zone is the title of Barb's article in the March Hub. Make sure you read it. Excellent. Take care. Don't work too hard, and we'll talk again next month, okay?
Thanks so much.